This is Venkat. I have 7 years of experience in the ETL development of in Informatica Power Center. As a ETL developer, I have been working for different projects and different clients, so I know end-to-end of this, and I have been working as a part-time trainer since last 2 years and trained more than 100 people. Okay, right. So before learning Informatica, so I would like to walk you through some of the important concepts in the data warehouse, because Informatica Power Center is a tool that comes under the data warehousing environment. Okay, so that is the reason since you are starting your, if you are going to learn Informatica, means you are starting your career in the data warehousing environment. So since you are walking down into data warehousing, so you should basically understand some of the important concepts that we have in the data warehouse. Because so if you started Power Center, means you are starting your career into the data warehousing environment, and these concepts will not leave you. If you wanted to go with the Power Center. Okay, so for the first 3 to 4 days, we are going to understand about the data warehousing concepts. Like so, what is the data warehousing? Right. So, what is the role of Informatica in that? So, what are the advantages? So, what are the different systems that involve here? So, what kind of modeling that we are going to perform? What are the BI tools? What kind of tables are used here? Right. So, all these fundamental data warehousing concepts will be understood in the first 3 to 4 classes. So, after that, we will try to understand about what is the Informatica Power Center. Okay, right. So, basically, when you try to understand about the data warehouse here, okay, data warehouse here, first of all, you have to understand some terms called OLAP and OLTP. Okay, okay. So, for any organization or any company, data plays a major role. Data plays a major role. So, what is the purpose of data? So, the main purpose of storing the data is for the business analysis, or for the so we store the data for the future reference, which is nothing but we do the business analysis from that. Okay, so let's take an example of some McDonald outlet, McDonald system. So what is this McDonald system? So this is basically, it's a fast food restaurant that serves the food items to the customers. So whenever any customer goes for any food item, the person over there enters the customer details into the front-end application. Okay. So since this front-end application is designed with any of the programming languages like Java or it's .NET, it could be on a PHP, right? It could be on any of this D2K forms. It could be designed with any of the front-end language. Okay. So, or even when you wanted to, even you go for any online order. So what you do is that you just go into the site of McDonald's. You design the order in that, right? You give the order from that. So whatever whatever data that you are entering, so basically these front-end applications are not capable of storing that information. Whatever you enter in there. Okay. So in order to have the business, analysis, or so whatever data that you are entering from the front-end application, so these front-end applications are not capable of storing any information. So in order to store the information for having the business analysis or for the future reference, so what you're going to do is that you have to you're going to save the data. Yes, you're going to save the data in the back-end technologies, which you call it as a databases. So what is a database? No? So a database is nothing but it's nothing but a back-end technology or a server. So that basically stores the data in the form of a tables. So the database is nothing but a software package that stores the data in the form of a table. So the information from the front-end application, it enters the database through the communication box. So these databases That's suppose the application, we call it as a application database. So when I talk about the databases here, we have different kinds of databases that we have, like Oracle, so which is from Oracle Corporation, so SQL Server, which is from Microsoft, Sybase, SAP, and we have DB2, IBM, which is from IBM, and so we have Teradata, which is from Teradata Corporation. Okay, so these are all the different databases that we have. So how we are going to interact with this database? So you cannot directly interact with this database. So you need a language which you call it as a SQL language, which is structured query language. Yes, so the structured query language is right. So in order to communicate with the database, we use the structured query language. So in that structured query language, we have some sub languages like DDL, data definition language, data manipulation language, data retrieval language, data transactional language. So all those things are present in this SQL. Yes. Okay. So we have different databases. Okay. So the databases that suppose the application, we call it as a application database. So every application needs to have a place in order to keep the user's data, right? So that place is nothing but a database. So for all the operational aspects of the system, okay, for all the operational aspects of the system, the databases we call it as a OLTP database. OLTP databases, or these systems we call it as a OLTP systems. So what is meant by OLTP? So it's online transactional processing systems, online transactional processing system. So these OLTP systems are basically the data processing systems where its design is optimized in such a way that it can receive a single record at a time. Okay, so you do a lot of transactions from these systems. Okay, so when you have many real-time examples of these OLTP systems, like all the airline applications, okay, all the railway applications, all the e-commerce applications, like Flipkart or the Amazon or eBay, right? All the banking applications. Yes, ATM withdrawal center. So these are all the different OLTP systems that we have. Okay, so whenever you do, so what you do is that you do all kinds of transactions on the system. Transactions. So let us say whenever you book a product in any e-commerce application, so what is going to happen? So you are adding the data to the OLTP system. You are adding the data to the OLTP system, which you call it as a transaction. So what is meant by transaction? The transaction is nothing but it's a set of DML operations. It's a set of DML operation. That we have. Okay, so the OLTPs are the systems where you have very frequent transactions will be happening. So that is the reason these systems always store the operational transactions, and it stands as the backbone of every business that you have. Okay, so these databases, the databases for these OLTPs are continuously available. Okay, and the users of this application will have round the clock access to that. So you'll be having a predefined access path, and it supports the day-to-day transaction. So since it supports the day-to-day transaction, it supports large number of users, and the volume of transactions will be very high when compared to any other system here. Okay, so every system that you take in the real world, it's completely built on the OLTP system. Okay, whether it is Walmart or any other retail store. So every business has its own OLTP system. Okay, so because of this importance, the OLTPs are the first parts of the organization that has to be computerized. Okay, so uh, so let us say we have a OLTP systems, so different OLTP systems that we have. Okay, let's consider the McDonald's. So we have three different McDonald's systems you have across the USA. Okay, so one is present uh, in the New York region. So in the New York region, so we have the system present on the SAP. In the so we have a Boston. In the Boston region, we have the system in the mainframes. In the West, in the Canada, we have a system in the Oracle. Okay, so the OLTP systems are something that are present in different locations, which basically contains all the operational transactions of the McDonald's. Okay, so when I talk about the business analysis here, so let us say I'm the business user. I'm the business user of the uh, business user of the company of USA. Okay, I wanted to understand how the business is running across all the OLTPs. Okay, so in order to do that, first of all, I have to walk down to the New York system. I have to understand how the business is running. After that, I have to go into Boston and understand how the business is running. After that, I have to go into the Canada. I have to understand how the business is running across the each OLTP. So when you do the business analysis like that, so it's a time-consuming process. Yes, it's a time-consuming process so that you have, because you have to walk down to every other system in order to understand how the business is run. Okay, and the OLTP systems always it contains the current data in the sense only it contains the at present data. Okay, at present data will be present. So when it contains the at present data, so it is difficult to perform the business analysis, because so when you do the business analysis, you basically compare your business with the time periods, with different time periods, whether it is on a weekly basis, whether it is on a daily basis, or whether it is on a quarterly basis or a yearly basis. You compare the business with the different time periods. Okay, this year with last year, or this quarter to last quarter, you compare the business. So when you have the current data, so current data is nothing but at present data. When you have the at present data, you will not be able to do the business analysis perfectly, because you don't have the historical data here, right? And if you see here, you need the business you wanted to do the business analysis across across the whole country, because here if you see since the data in each region is independent. Okay, if you go to the New York region, it contains its own data. Okay, so if you go to the Boston, it contains its own data, right? Okay, right, so it contains right, so okay, so every system and every zone has its own data, which is the independent data that we have. So we don't have here the centralized system that contains all the data from each region. So since the business user is willing to understand how the business is running across USA, so he has to basically go into each system to understand the business here. So you don't have the integrated data here. Okay, no integrated data is present. No integrated data is present. Okay, and so different standards are present in each OLTP system. Different standards in the sense. So let us say in this source system, for a gender column. Okay, so it could be male, female. Okay, for this you may have 10. Okay, for this you may have if. Okay, so we have different standards here, different standards that are followed in different OLTP systems. So you don't have a homogeneous format. So in order to build a report for doing the business analysis, you need a homogeneous format. Okay, you need a homogeneous format. So because of all these disadvantages that we have in the OLTP system, so the business analysis you cannot do it properly. Okay, business analysis you cannot do it properly. So for that, what we are going to understand this side. So we are going to extract the data from multiple OLTPs. Yes, we are going to extract the data from multiple OLTPs, which you call it as an data extraction. Yes, we transform the data, which you call it as a data transformation. And we load the data, which you call it as data loading, into a centralized database, into a very big database, which you call it as a data warehouse. Okay, data warehouse. So the data warehouse contains transactions from for every end of the day we get the transaction. Yes, we get the transaction from all the OLTP systems, and we load the data into the data warehouse. So the data warehouse is a concept. Okay, it's a concept or a process. It's a concept or a process or a theory that we build on any of the database that we have. You can build the data warehouse on any of the database. It is also again a database. Okay, a data warehouse is again a database which can be built on any RDBMS that serves the purpose of the business analysis. Okay, so it can be built on Oracle, it can be built on Teradata. Yes, it can be built on Sybase. It can be built on yes. SQL Server. So on any database you can build this data warehouse. So it's nothing but it's a concept or a theory that you have. Concept or a theory that you have. Okay. So at the end of the day, the transactions from every OLTP you are going to load it into the data warehouse. So from the data warehouse, what you do is that you are going to analyze how the business is running. Okay, so that is the reason this system is called as a OLAP system. OLAP system is nothing but online analytical processing system. Okay, so let us say if we have started implementing the data warehouse from 2010 onwards. Okay, so it will contain the data from 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, and 15. It contains the data over the period of time, and so we call it as a historical data. Historical data. It's a kind of read-only database that you have. It's a read-only database where you do not do any updations here. Only the insertions are possible. So you're not going to overwrite anything. Only the insertions are possible. Okay, and you can. So whenever you have the data warehouse, so it is easy for the business users to analyze how the business is running. Like how you getting a good revenue. Right, so what are the days you're getting good revenue, on which product more people are concentrating, so who are the best customers, so how much profit I am attaining based on a daily basis, monthly basis, is on the quarterly basis. So these kind of analytical decisions you can perform when you have the data warehouse. So after the data exists in the data warehouse, so the business user is not a technical guy to query the data from here. So he cannot directly query the data here and understand how the business is running. Okay, he's not a technical guy to understand how the business is running. So for this, what he does is that, so he makes, so we have a separate zone here called as a BA zone, BA layer or the BA zone. We have the BA developer. We have the BA developers. So they make use of the BA tools. They make use of the different BA tools, and they represent the data whatever the business user requires in a form of report. Okay, they prepare the reports. And using the reports, they prepare the reports on the by querying the data. By querying is nothing but selecting the data. Okay, so the BA developers, they prepare the reports by making use of the BA tools, and they send that reports to the business users so as to understand how the business is running. Okay, so you have different BA tools, so that you have you have BA tools like Cognos. Okay, you have SAP BO, OBAW, Hyperion, MicroStrategy. Okay, Tableau. Okay, so these are all the different BA tools that you have. Okay, so these BA tools helps us to fetch the data from the data warehouse, and they represent the data in the form of reports. So the report is nothing in sense, it will be more interactive, and the data looks in a graphical mode, that could be in a pie chart or a bar diagram, right, or in a chart format, right. So it represents the data like that, so that you can easily understand how the business is performing. Okay, so when you talk about this this ETL process, okay, so this ETL process in the sense data extraction, transformation, and loading. Okay, so for performing this ETL process, we have different ETL tools. ETL tools. So you have Informatica. Okay, Informatica Power Center. You have, which is from Informatica Corporation. We have Data Stage. You have SSIS, which is from Microsoft. You have SAP DS. Okay, so Oracle Data Integrator. Okay, so these are all the different ETL tools that we have. So that basically perform the ETL process. Means that what they do is that they basically extract the data from multiple OLTPs. They transform the data into a homogeneous format. So you have different formats in the source system. So you transform the data into a homogeneous format. You remove the duplicates. Okay, and you load the data into the data warehouse. So this process is called as the ETL process. So you as a ETL developer, your role is a ETL developer. You as a ETL developer, so you're going to you're going to get the data from multiple OLTPs. You design a plan in such a way that you get the data from multiple OLTPs, you transform the data, and you load the data into the data warehouse. So this is what you call it as a ETL process, and you are the ETL developer. You make use of the ETL tools in order to do this task. Okay. So any questions so far? Any questions? Any questions?
None, Venkat.
Okay. Right. So when I talk about this code that you have, so right. So for the first 3 to 4 classes, we'll be having only the data warehousing concepts. Okay. Only the data warehousing concepts will be learned. Okay. After that, we'll start the Power Center. Okay. Informatica Power Center will be started after that. The course is of 25 days. Okay. So 25 days. Every day we will be having a hour class. And so the prerequisite for learning this is that so you should have a good SQL knowledge and good Unix knowledge, Unix commands, and you need good shell scripting. I mean Unix shell scripting. Unix shell scripting knowledge. Okay, so these are the prerequisites that you have. So, and when coming to the course content, so the software will be so BigClasses is going to provide you the VMware. On this VMware you will be having a pre-built Informatica Power Center 9.5 version. It's the latest version that you have. You will be having Oracle and SQL developer. Okay, so using this, so you just they're going to install you in your PC, so you can work on that. Okay, so we are going to implement the part of this training. We are going to implement a mini project. Okay, mini project kind of thing. So whenever you're doing the sessions, you're going to work on this mini project. So which will be implemented as a part of this project. So when the implementation, you are going to understand what is your role as a ETL developer. So how the project lifecycle will be and how the process will be handling in the real time. So when you do this, when you follow this training completely, you will be, so you need not worry much about the real time tasks that you have, because so all those things will be covered during this session. Okay. So any questions? Any questions? Sandeep, Siddhartha,
No, Venkat.
Pramod.
No, Venkat. Clear.
No questions.
Thanks for your time. Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.